Moving along, topic number 3, how content is paid for. Will digital advertising deliver enough revenue to support serious journalism? In the meantime, how much longer can newspapers count on print ads to carry them through? And what about online subscriptions? Will paywalls become ubiquitous? Well, they're still trying on the paywalls with limited success, some success.
Again, to me, it's back to the content. It's really interesting. Even though there's great general content available, people seem less inclined to pay for it. Yeah. But I keep going back to the Wall Street Journal. Niche audience, they want it, they pay for it.
They don't pay for it. It's
Well,
all
all right,
expense
okay.
accounts.
Okay.
That's why their paywall works.
All right, okay. Somebody's paying for it.
Well, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a huge dilemma because people say, well, we need to get people back in the attitude of paying for journalism. But they're paying for their digital devices. They're paying for their broadband. They're paying for their cell phone service. They weren't paying for any of those things back when they were willing to pay a small amount of money every month to have the newspaper delivered to their doorstep every day. So I do think the paywalls have to be part of what's going on moving forward, but it's going to be very difficult for it to be more than a small part of the revenue stream.
Okay, so what about Jeff Bezos putting the Washington Post on the Kindle?
Brilliant.
I think this is really great.
Yes.
I think isn't this the way to go? You're looking skeptical.
You bought a Kindle just to read the Washington Post, right?
I bought one for my mom. She doesn't know that yet. One thing that's difficult in that case is that if you were trying to just reach a larger audience and you're Jeff Bezos, you would go for the iPad as opposed to the Kindle Fire, the one, and it just so happens he owns the company that provides that. So there's a bit of a strategy tax there, I think. I think paywalls have been below the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, a pretty significant disappointment. The Boston Globe is actually one of the most successful regional local paywalls in the United States. They've got somewhere around 50,000 paying digital subscribers. But in a lot of markets around the country, you see the growth that they saw in digital subscriptions leveling off, and in some cases even falling. Revenue numbers are flat to sometimes declining for digital subscriptions. I think they're running out of people who are the natural newspaper subscribers who want to read on digitally, who used to be print subscribers and say, sure, I'll pay $15 a month. They've reached almost all those people now, and it's unclear what the next step is.
Okay, so other than targeted advertising, which is really, really ramped up, I mean, I've been doing some stuff this week, buying some stuff and looking at stuff, and it's just like following me everywhere I go. I mean, it's like frightening. But what's going to make the difference now between what the advertising revenue in a newspaper that still drives even the digital? What's going to make the difference so that flips to the other side?
There is an initiative underway right now, and I don't know whether it's going to be successful or not, to get around the problem of the value of digital advertising dropping just because it's so ubiquitous. And the initiative is that you charge advertisers on the basis of the time that people are spending with your site. And that's a great idea because the time actually is finite. People only have so much time. And if the news business has any success in getting advertisers to pay using that metric instead of the old page views metric, which has just been a disaster, there may be a revival of internet advertising.
Dan, I got a question about that. I feel like I've seen, and Emily, I think we were talking about this past week, an uptick in ads where you have to watch, say, a 30-second video before you proceed to the content. See, it strikes me as a fairly new thing. I remember being able to, click the X and avoid the ads, and I feel like maybe it's just one or two news sites I'm going to. Is that akin at all or related to what you're talking about?
No, that's not related to what I'm talking about. And while you bring that up, I wish the Boston Globe would show you different ads when you click on videos. It's the same one.
Actually, they'd love to have more ads, too.
I like the ones that ask you, which ad would you like to see?
Yes.
I like that.
I've never seen that.
Oh, I love that.
Hulu
will often provide because there's some ads I'd like to see.
The real challenge is that online advertising is growing, is still growing at a 15-20% rate year over year. It's just that it no longer has to be next to journalism to reach audiences. It now can be next to a search result. It can be next to your Gmail, whatever else. And that has meant that even as the pie keeps growing, journalism's slice of it keeps shrinking.
One thing
that's a real problem.
We haven't talked about advertorial content either, in the sort of sneaky way it's insinuating itself into more and more sites. I have heard speculation that the Boston Globe, Boston.com may be headed in that direction, long-term advertorial heavy. But that's something that still kind of creeps me out.
I'd be surprised if I don't have any inside knowledge,
Yeah.
but I would be surprised if they didn't do that,
Yeah,
because
maybe.
in the past year, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal,
Yes.
Washington Post, the Guardian, all of them either launched or expanded previous native advertising schemes. It is the one area of significant growth, other than video advertising in the second category for news organizations advertising.
Time Magazine did this when I was a kid. It just looked different.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The little
Yeah.
mark
Yeah.
in the corner told you it was an advertisement.